Good evening, everyone. Thank you. My name's Joe Sunderman. I'd like to thank everyone for joining us at the Cintas Center tonight for the 2017 Hall of Fame induction ceremonies. It's my pleasure to be here as we induct 5 new members into Xavier's Hall of Fame. This year's class is a very special one, an impactful class in so many ways: great basketball players, a wonderful baseball player, and a great broadcaster who was a visionary for the Xavier program. It's important to mention the P. Douglas O'Keefe Athletic Hall of Fame display on Cintas Center's West Concourse that recognizes the 5 individuals we are here to honor tonight, as well as some great achievements of many athletes and teams over the last 40 years. Tom Iser, Xavier's Associate AD for Communications, is chair of the Hall of Fame Committee and caretaker of the exhibit, and has done a tremendous job of adding new items that commemorate significant achievements and moments throughout Xavier's athletic history. I encourage you to visit the O'Keefe Hall of Fame when you have time. I'd like to welcome Xavier Hall of Fame member Sister Roseanne Fleming to provide tonight's invocation. It is my pleasure to introduce to you the person who is the reason the academic reputation of our athletic department is so strong. Sister Roseanne has also helped to shape so many of these student athletes' lives and works tirelessly to get them ready for life after collegiate sports. Ladies and gentlemen, Hall of Fame member Sister Roseanne Fleming.
Let us place ourselves in the presence of God as we gather this evening to celebrate the extraordinary talents which you, God, have bestowed on the 5 honorees selected as inductees of the 2017 Douglas O'Keefe Athletic Hall of Fame. As we celebrate the talents of Stanley Burrell, Amber Harris, Tashia Phillips, Andy McWilliams, and Lou Whitty, help us listen, O Lord, to the heroic stories from the lives of these inductees, so that we might be inspired to live our lives as they have lived theirs, with a vision of the extraordinary, with an endurance that comes only from faith in your grace, and with a dream for perfection, which has brought them to this induction as permanent residents on the Cintas Center concourse in the O'Keefe Athletic Hall of Fame. We ask you to bless these honorees, bless their families, and bless their futures, that the vision which was theirs at Xavier may inspire our current student athletes to develop their gifts and talents to a level of excellence which will continue the renown which these honorees have brought to this university. And we ask you to bless this meal we are about to receive and all those who have prepared it for us through Christ our Lord. Amen.
Thank you, Sister. Ladies and gentlemen, please enjoy your dinner. We will begin tonight's induction ceremony shortly. Well, I hope everyone enjoyed the meal. While you're enjoying your dessert, we'd like to start the program. Xavier's Director of Athletics, Greg Christopher, will welcome you to tonight's induction ceremony. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Greg Christopher.
Thanks, Joe. Welcome, everybody, tonight. This is always such a fun evening, maybe one of the best all night or all year, simply because you get to listen to the stories from the inductees and some of the memories that they have. Although I'll say tonight was a little different during the reception. As I talked to, I think, each inductee or family members or something, there were several of them who said, I'm nervous about tonight. which is unusual for the inductees to get up here and be nervous and tell stories. And in fact, I said in one group, I was like, now wait, is Andy Mack, as much as he talks, is he nervous about tonight? Is he going to be, short of words? And his son goes, oh, no, don't go that far. He's not going to be short of words. So, but no, it is a lot of fun. And before we get started, just a couple of quick thank yous as we get going here. Certainly to Joe Sunderman, our Hall of Fame MC. You know it's a big Xavier event if Joe's here, so thank you once again. And then a lot of work goes into this event, and I'm not going to list everybody, but and I think they're all here, but especially for the putting on of the event tonight, Carol Moss and Brian Hicks deserve a round of applause for the work that they did in making this happen. And then Joe made reference, but I think a big round of applause for Tom Iser. This is a labor of love for Tom and what he does with the Hall of Fame each year. Just two quick notes before we do move on with the stories. I think first, just stop and pause for a second and reflect just how impressive this group is of inductees. And to put it in context, just a couple of numbers here. Xavier has almost 75,000 alumni now. So out of 75,000 alumni, there's close to 4,000 that played varsity athletics for us over the years. So out of that 4,000, the 5 inductees tonight make it 128 in the Hall of Fame. To give you context of just how impressive these inductees tonight are. And then, all their individual accolades, they're spelled out in the program, certainly very impressive. But you rattled off what this group did as teams. 337 wins for Xavier. There's 10 all-conference selections sitting up here, 9 NCAA tournament appearances, 4 Players of the Year, 2 All-Americans, 2 Elite Eights, and one heck of a storyteller up here also. So, again, really an impressive group. The storyteller part's probably a good segue too, because I think the last comment I would make for all those numbers and for all the accolades that are in the programs, probably what's most impressive is this audience right here, because athletics is certainly a lot about wins and losses and the platform it provides Xavier and the great achievements that these inductees pulled off for Xavier. But it's also about the families, the friends, the colleagues, the classmates, the teammates, and that's reflected here tonight in what you've got, and it's the connections and the relationships that have stayed with these inductees with time. So Stanley, Amber, Tashia, Lou, and Andy Mack, on behalf of all of Xavier, congratulations. Welcome to the Athletics Hall of Fame. Let's get on with this show and listen to some of those stories. Thank you.
All right, Andy. Never was nervous. You were always ready to go, Mac. It's great to be here tonight and witness this group be inducted into Xavier's Hall of Fame. Before we begin tonight's program, I'd like to recognize several special guests that we have in attendance tonight. Excuse me. First, I would like to welcome Xavier women's basketball head coach, Brian Neal. And actually, the broadcast team is here. Mike Schmaltz, Rich Hoyt, and Paul Fritzner are here. It's now my privilege to introduce the current Hall of Fame members in attendance. When I say your name, I ask that you stand and remain standing. Please hold all your applause until I have finished reading the list. William Daly, Sister Roseanne Fleming, Jim Gruber, Ralph Lee, Beth Osterdag, Marla Phillips, and Judy Smith. Certainly appreciate you being here tonight. Congratulations to those of you who are already in the Hall of Fame, and a special congratulations to this year's inductees and their families for a well-deserved honor. Thank you for sharing your God-given talents with Xavier University. Tonight's induction will give you more insight into our inductees, but not just on the playing field. We will learn about each individual as a person and what they've been able to accomplish, not only during their time at Xavier, but after as well. In your program, you can find more information as to our inductees' accomplishments, but during tonight's ceremony, we will reflect and remember some of those moments along with many family and friends. Amber Harris arrived at Xavier for the 2006-2007 season, earning 2007 Atlantic 10 Conference Rookie of the Year honors. She was a three-time All-Atlantic 10 first-team honoree and a 2009-2010 A10 Player of the Year. Harris is Xavier's all-time block shot leader and is second all-time in points and rebounds. She is only the second Musketeer ever to surpass the 2,000-point, 1,000 rebound mark. During her career, she was a perfect 12-0 in A10 tournament games, leading XU to 4 championships. Xavier advanced to 4 NCAA tournaments, including the 2010 Elite Eight. Harris was drafted 4th overall in the 2011 WNBA draft, the highest pick in program history, and was part of 2 WNBA championships with the Minnesota Lynx in 2011 and 2013. This group really is special. Tashia Phillips arrived at Xavier for the 2007-2008 season and captured Atlantic 10 Rookie of the Year honors that year. During her career, she was a 2-time A10 Defensive Player of the Year and earned Player of the Year honors in 2008 and 2009. During her senior year, she finished second in the country in rebounding at 12.4 rebounds per game, third in field goal percentage at 60.5%, a season that she was selected as State Farm Honorable Mention All-American by the Women's Basketball Coaches Association. She is XU's all-time leading rebounder and notched 77 career double-doubles and scored in double figures in 103 of 131 games played. Phillips graduated in 2011 and was drafted in the first round as the 8th overall selection of the WNBA draft. Been waiting for this, Mac. Andy McWilliams was the voice of Xavier University men's basketball from 1983 to 1998. The Syracuse University graduate began his professional broadcasting career in the 1970s for hockey franchises in Syracuse, Jacksonville, the National Hockey League Chicago Blackhawks, and Cincinnati Cyclones, before moving into collegiate sports. For his work, he was inducted into the Cincinnati Hockey Hall of Fame. McWilliams started with TV play-by-play for the Musketeers in 1983 and moved to radio. His call of Xavier's upset over #1 ranked Cincinnati in 1996 is one that endeared him to the Xavier faithful. He is still involved today as both a columnist for the website musketeermadness.com and hosts the popular Talkin' Hoops program prior to each home men's basketball game. Lou Whitty is the winningest pitcher in school history. Lou holds the Xavier record for most career wins at 35. From 1996 to 99, 9 more than his closest competitor. He also holds a single season record for wins at 12 and owns career records for strikeouts, complete games, and innings pitched. He was named to the Atlantic 10 All-Conference First Team in 1997 and 99, and earned A10 Pitcher of the Year honors in 1997. Whitty was drafted in the 12th round of the 1999 Major League Baseball draft by the New York Yankees. Lastly, Stanley Burrell, one of the most popular players in Musketeer basketball history, finished his career with 1,612 points, good for 13th all-time. He began his career as his team's top offensive star, scoring 12.7 points per game as a freshman and 14.4 per game during his sophomore campaign, but transformed his game to become one of the nation's best defensive players. He earned recognition as the 2008 Atlantic 10 Defensive Player of the Year, was a member of Sports Illustrated's All-Glue team, and part of National All-Defensive Teams for Rivals.com and CollegeInsider.com. Burrell was part of 93 wins during his career at Xavier and participated in 3 NCAA tournaments, including 2008 when the Musketeers advanced to the Elite Eight. At this time, I invite Amber, Tashia, Andy, Lou, and Stanley to join me on stage, along with Xavier's Director of Athletics, Greg Christopher. Come on up. The 5 inductees represented Xavier in different ways, but always according to the model of our mission-driven athletic program. I quote, "To compete at the highest level possible with pride and passion towards a higher goal and for a higher purpose. To represent that principle in both athletics and academics and continue to focus on the motto of the Musketeers, all for one and one for all." To give you an idea how we're going to proceed, our inductees have each chosen a person who has been influential in their career or in their life. Those people will introduce and induct them into the Hall of Fame tonight. So let's get started with the induction ceremony. Our first inductee will be Amber Harris. Amber's inductor is her coach. Ladies and gentlemen, here is Kevin McGuff. Come on up, Kevin.
Thank you all. What a wonderful evening and great honor for me to be back here and see so many friendly faces and have some great conversations tonight. So it's great to be back and really appreciate the things I was able to talk to people about tonight. So I was thinking about on the ride down here, about Amber. And let me also say just a congratulations to all the inductees, especially to Shia Phillips, who, has such a special place in my heart and was such a great player for us. One of the hardest working, most intelligent players I was ever able to be around. So she's a great kid. So, but when I think about Amber here and having this, great, I've never been able to do this. I've had a lot of great things in my career that I've had a chance to do, but induct somebody into a Hall of Fame, especially some place like Xavier, I've never had a chance to do this. And so that's all right. That's perfect. I have 6 kids, so this is right at home for me. But I was thinking about all the way back to when we had a chance to recruit Amber. And she's coming out of Indianapolis, and she could have went anywhere in America. And she chose us. And she took a chance on our program and our university in the fact that we had a chance to do something special at some place kind of different from the standpoint of in women's basketball. It's hard to get the best players to not go to Connecticut or Notre Dame or Duke or something like that. And so you start right there, and that tells you a lot about Amber, is that she's her own person. She's a very special young woman. And I was thinking about that on the drive home. It's just not a lot of kids would take that chance. And so she took a chance on us. And certainly I think as a community, we helped take her from where she was to the young woman where she left, where she was ready to tackle the world. And that's one of the great things about Xavier, just the academics and the support that you get here. And then from a basketball standpoint, she took a good program and made it among the best. And it was really just a magnificent journey. And I was thinking about, too, is just kind of how Amber really lived through what the core values for our program were, which were thankfulness, unity, servanthood, and it just, the way she lived her life here was amazing. And a couple stories with that is, in this day and age, for all of us who deal with young people, like I have some great kids in our program right now, but it's hard. Kids are growing up in a different generation now, and it's really hard for them to sometimes realize how good they have it. And I talk about thankfulness. Amber Harris could have went anywhere in America and played. And there was never a day where she wasn't totally all in, invested to be the best she could be at Xavier. And I think that's one of the things that always strikes me, because, we have kids nowadays. It's always, the grass is always greener on the other side. That was never Amber Harris. She was 100% invested in being the best player she could be here. She was always very thankful, always very appreciative. And along with that theme of thankfulness, which we had as a core value in our program, she was one of the very best that we ever had at camp. And now you're going to say, like, what's camp have to do with it? When we would have, I'm telling you, camp would start, and they'd have all the big kids, and they would go into one gym, and there'd be Amber with the little kids, and you'd have like 10 little kids hanging off of her 6'5" frame. And it was the funniest thing you'd ever see. But just the way she could connect with young people, and she was just happy to be around the kids, it always struck me as, wow, what a great kid. She's one of the best players in college basketball, and she wants to just impact the lives of young people. So that was one thing that really struck me. The other thing is, like, Amber, another core value we had was in our program was humility. And it's a real art to be one of the best players in the country. But Amber always had a very humble way about her. And I think as she got older, one of the things I really liked was she could have averaged, she's the second leading scorer in Xavier's history. And we had a great player, Tara Booth, who was first. She could really score the ball. Amber could have been first, but that's not what would have been best for our team because we had other good players. She would always get everybody involved. But she also knew when to turn it on. I can remember one year going to Fordham. Would have been her junior or senior year, and we were ranked 5th in the country. And there was a snowstorm. We weren't sure if we could get there. And we show up at the gym, and Fordham's got one of the worst teams in college basketball. And there was literally, I bet there was probably 15 people in the gym. It was it was snow everywhere. We were lucky to get there. The referees were lucky to get there. So we're supposed to win the game easily. And of course, this is back when we weren't playing quarters, we were playing halves. We get to the last media timeout, and it's tied. And I say to the team, I'll never forget this. I say, do you realize in the next 4 minutes, this could be the biggest upset in college basketball, and we're about to be on the wrong end of it. And now Amber kind of looks at me. All right, I got you. 8-0 Amber. And then we win. So she had she was very humble, but as she grew and she got older, she knew when it was time to turn it on. And when she knew when it was her time to affect the game for us. And it's kind of like she wasn't going to let us lose. She wasn't going to let us lose. And then, the last thing I would say about it, one of our core values was unity and always putting the team first. It's well documented. We had an amazing run in Amber's junior year where we went to, or senior year, her 4th year in college, and we went to the Elite Eight and not to relive everything about it, but lost a very tough game in Sacramento. And a game where we ran a play for Amber, and she got double teamed. So she did what a great player would do. She passed the ball. We missed a layup. She got the rebound. She got double teamed again. She passed the ball. We missed the layup. But the thing I remember about that, too, is like we had a devastated young player in our team. And Amber very well could have been like, hey, I passed you the ball twice. But she was so loving and caring because it was about the team. We had just suffered the toughest loss you could ever suffer. Amber was still making it about the team. So, and then really to take it a step further about who she is, at that point, she was going to graduate that year. She had accomplished as much as you can accomplish, and she decided to come back for a 5th year because she loved the university, she loved the program, she loved her teammates. And not a lot of people would do that. And so she's an extremely special young woman. I know I've been incredibly fortunate to have her in my life. I'd be remiss if I didn't mention her mother. I mean, she didn't become who she was by accident. There's not one time when she was here when I called her mother about something we were going to do with Amber that she didn't say, absolutely. You can be as hard as you want on her. Make sure she gets better. Make sure she grows as a young woman. Make sure she grows as a student. However you have to do that, you do it. You have my full support. And that's rare. That's very, very rare. So Amber's an incredibly special young woman. We were fortunate to have her here in our program. It's a real honor for me to be here tonight to share this special night with her. And so, having said that, congratulations, Amber Harris. Well deserved.
Oh, wow. First. Whew. The pressure's on. Thanks to Coach McGuff coming up here and saying all the stories. He took it away for me. I didn't have to tell any stories. So I'm just going to come up here and say I'm thankful. You know, this is a great program. It's amazing to be a part of something that's so big like this. So this is amazing. I really don't have any words to say, but this is a great honor. I want to thank Jody. Was hard on me when I got my first injury ever in life. Busted my knee out in practice, and Jody took care of me since then. I came back and I dunked. I felt good about myself. So I want to thank Jody. I want to thank Nicole and Carla. Like one of the coolest coaches ever. Like I had so much fun with them. I still have fun with them too. So I want to thank them. I want to thank my mom, my sister, you know, for always supporting me and all that stuff. So that's great. And I want to thank all of the coaches. I wish Coach Mike was here. Mike Neighbors, he's doing great himself. So I want to thank him. He was a great coach. I want to thank all my teammates that I played with throughout my whole 4 years. Being at 5 years, sorry. Being at Xavier, yeah, especially Tashia. Tashia was, I do have a funny story about Tashia though. Before I had my choice to come to here at Rutgers, and I chose here. And Tashia was like a year younger, so she had a decision to make as well to come here. And I was like, all right, Tashia, I think you should come here so we can really do our thing, little duo thing. You know, she could be my sidekick. So like, I was like, all right. So Tashia ended up coming here, and I was like, all right, we can do this. And we ended up playing well together, and I really appreciate her. She was hard. We played a lot of one-on-one games. I beat her most of the time. So I really appreciate her. So thank you, Tashia, for being hard-headed on me. So thank you. Congratulations to all the inductees. I appreciate this opportunity. Thank you.
Congratulations, Amber. Our next inductee will be Tashia Phillips, class of 2011. Tashia's inductor is Xavier's head athletic trainer, Jody Janicki. Come on up, Jody. Please give her a warm welcome.
I'm good. Have to adjust this. It's a great honor to be asked at any point in time to help induct any of our athletes into the Hall of Fame. Usually I get asked because they've spent time in the training room. So I don't know if that's good or bad. It just is. My first year at Xavier was 1989-90. And if you all think back, the men's team had 2 male players on the team, and they had them tutored as the Twin Towers. They are both in the Hall of Fame if you look at the things on your table. For the women's program, as it grew over the years, the first time I think I can say there was another Twin Tower set. They're also in the Hall of Fame. They played for the women's team, and it was 2001. And you can look, and their names are in there. This is the third set in my history here, and they're now going in together. There's nothing more appropriate. Tashia came to us in that summer of her freshman year, and she passed the physical and was fine. Came in, one of our tallest, biggest players we've ever had, excited. We had both her and Amber. It was going to be a new season for women's basketball. By the end of the summer, she had injured her shoulder. And as we look back, it had been injured before she came, but never showed during the physical because she was that naturally strong. First time she really lifted was at Xavier. She came in very strong, had never lifted formally before, was just that strong. She wanted to play through the season and not redshirt, and we did a lot of time in the training room to get her through that freshman year to where she could get to the postseason and have her surgery. And so the story goes. But what a lot of you don't know is when she came in, she was born with 2 very painful feet for us to keep going for her years, and actually probably is what ended her pro career, is her feet. And during that time, none of you knew because it wasn't surgery. She didn't miss time and she never complained. And with one of our vendors, he was making her orthotics every month. She played, and in fact played in the WNBA. So I will tell you this, as tall as she is when she stands up here and as big as her smile is, as big as Amber's was, I will tell you this, when she walked across campus, it wasn't because she was one of the biggest, tallest female basketball players that had ever gone here. It was her infectious smile, her willing to get to know people, not just in her sport, not just other athletes. A lot of people, and then Dave Fluker and I talked about this today, the men's trainer, she was like the mayor of campus. So I can tell you, it went beyond basketball. I'd like to introduce Tashia Phillips.
I'm going to tell you the truth about Amber Harris. That's what I'm going to do. That's what I'm going to do. But before I get there, I want to say congratulations to every single one of you, because this is well deserved. Coach McGuff, so glad to see you today. It's always a pleasure to see you. And before I get to Amber Harris, I'm going to say thank you to everyone else. I do want to thank my mother and my grandmother. I have amazing role models in those 2 women. And I thank my brother, who's always there. But I have a great support system, and not just in how I was raised. My mother's a beautician. I was surrounded by people, by women who impacted my life. But I came here, and the same thing happened. I got a group of people who were willing to support me and be there for me and help me grow and help me learn. And I'm thankful for that. So every last one of you, thank you. Thank you. Because you all had some part in some way. Whether I shook your hand, I met you, I said hello, or you were at games, supported from afar, whatever it was, thank you. And thank you for this honor today. I can honestly say that I've been blessed with many of opportunities that people will never have. I sat at that table and I listened to the numbers and I was like, man. At first I was astounded, it was surreal. Tom Iser will tell you, he called me at work. And you know, as a college coach, you just pick up your phone. You don't know who's calling. And the first thing he said was, congratulations on being inducted to the Hall of Fame. And I literally almost dropped my phone. I said, who, me? And he was like, yeah, you. I was like, first of all, who is this? And he was like, he said, this is me, Tom. Okay, great. I was like, is this a real thing? He was like, it's a very real thing. So as I stand here, I am still astounded. I am very astounded, and I'm very grateful. So I say thank you. Now back to Amber Harris. What really happened is Amber and I have known each other since I was 13, she was 14. And at that time, we hated each other's guts. I mean, there was nothing we could do better except for fight with each other. I was always the more serious one, Amber was always the more lighthearted and fun one, and we irked each other to death. But I can tell you, as we stand here at almost 28 and almost 29, it's grown into an appreciation. I will never have a better teammate than Amber Harris, ever. She's not just my teammate, she's my friend. She gets on my last nerve, but she is my friend. What she didn't tell you about that story, though, is that we were actually going to watch one of the younger kids' basketball games. I had no idea she was going. She had no idea I was going. We just happened to be at the same place. So she came up to me, Amber was like, Tashia, I got this thing. I was like, thing? She was like, yeah, it's an important conversation. We never have important conversations. That was not our thing. She was like, I got this thing. What's this thing, Amber? So you know how I have to make a decision. Yeah, what's up? I'm going to Xavier. Okay, cool. That's great. I'm happy for you. I want you to come check it out. No, it's not really on my radar. I want you to come check it out. And because it was Amber, I did. Now here's the other part you don't know. Coach McGuff, in recruiting me, he's a little bit different than other coaches, which is what I've always appreciated about him. We would be at games, and while every other coach is on the floor, Coach McGuff was in the balcony. And he would stand, and he would watch, and unlike other coaches, he wouldn't be on his phone. He wouldn't be talking. And so one day, during a game, sitting on the bench for a second, and I look at my head coach, Kevin Merriweather. I said, who is the strange guy that's always standing up there by himself? And he was like, that's Kevin McGuff. I said, well, what do you know about him? He said, the same thing you know about him, that he's at every last one of your games. He said, but the one thing that I know about him that you don't is he could possibly be your head coach. And here he is. He was my head coach. And to this day, we have a great relationship. I try and go see him once a year, him and his family, and hang out with him and his kids. Because it wasn't just about basketball with any of our coaches. They were worried about us as people. I know that I would go into Nicole Likes' office, and I would lay on the floor after class, and I would take a nap. And she would wake me up just in time enough to go be harassed by Jody in the training room about the many things that I needed taken care of on my body. So I needed rest, because anybody that knows Jody, Jody's a tough nail. And she gave me plenty of work. And so that's the type of relationship that I have. Every last one of them I am grateful for. And to this day, I am grateful for Amber Harris. But I am very grateful for this opportunity. Thank you.
Congratulations to Sheila. I always enjoy this night. Our next inductee will be Andy McWilliams. His inductor is his son, Brian McWilliams. Please give Brian a warm welcome. Come on up, Brian.
Good evening. First of all, the reason I'm up here is because my brother Sean has no ability to speak in front of people. He's actually sweating right now watching me, which he sweats a lot. So I'm a 2000 Xavier graduate, proud. I'd like to thank my wife and her sister Julia, because I am a proud first-time father on December 18th, and they're the reason I'm here today. I live in Seattle, Washington, so it's... And by the way, Mario, would you schedule UW, please, so I can go to a game at some point? Thank you. In the fall of '83, the powers that be in Clifton made a strategic error on their men's basketball and football and TV rights. They ended the relationship with 19XIX and the biggest radio station in the region, 700 WLW. At that time, my father, Andy McWilliams, was the sports director at 700 WLW, and he had a lot of local ties here in the area. And he needed a college product, one, because he liked to announce college sports, and two, it was good for the radio station as a whole. At that time, Coach Bob Stack and athletic director Jeff Fogelson were growing a program here and a culture, and my father noticed that. So he started pushing forward negotiations to get men's basketball on local television and the big one. In 1983, him and Hall of Famer Joe Sunderman broadcasted their first basketball game on 19XIX locally at Miami, Ohio. Unfortunately, it was an 18-point loss, but regardless, this was the first dance the men's basketball program had with broad-based regional media exposure. In the 80s and the 90s, he helped bring Xavier men's basketball and the MCC to garner national attention through his AP Top 25 voting. At the time, it was the Top 20. Now it's the Top 25. And his vast media connections throughout the country. He started his career at Syracuse University, broadcast all over the East Coast. As the voices of Musketeer basketball, Andy and Joe called some of the program's most iconic moments. Hall of Famer Ralph Lee and his team took the Musketeers to an NIT win over Ohio State at the Gardens. Tyrone Hill, Derek Strong, and company's win over Dikembe Mutombo and Alonzo Mourning, John Thompson in Indianapolis for Xavier's first ever Sweet 16 berth. And of course, when Lenny Brown's dribble drive against Darnell Burton made Musketeer basketball #1 in the city of Cincinnati.
Brown against Burton. Brown starting his dribble. He moves in, he pops up, he shoots. Scores! Lenny Brown! Xavier wins it! The Muskies win it! 71-69! And the UC Bearcats are #1 in the country, #2 in their own city! 71-69. Lenny Brown on a dribble drive from the left wing. Buried it inside the free throw line. Muskies win it 71-69 over UC. Incredible. Number one goes down on their own floor.
This might be overshooting it, but I think that's Cincinnati's version of Miracle on Ice. Dad, and this night belongs to you guys, but I'm going to ask you to do a couple things tonight. The first thing is, Joe Sunderman's been a great friend, and you interrupt him all the time. Could you apologize at least once? Exactly. That's what you call help. In week 4, and also number 2, in week 4 of the 97-98 season, the men's basketball team, believe it or not, has only received one number 1 overall vote in the AP Top 25. To this day, every time you ask him about it, he smiles and says it wasn't him. Just fess up. In the late 90s, spasmodic dysphonia weakened his voice and ended his broadcast career. But his passion and endless promotion of the university grew stronger. He's now XU men's basketball unofficial, well-read blogger on Musketeer Madness, and with the help of athletic director Greg Christopher, a mainstay on game day with Brad Redford at the pregame Talking Hoops. He may have graduated in Orangeman, but for the last 33 years, his dedication and heart have belonged to the Xavier University athletic program. I'm proud to introduce the Muskies' biggest cheerleader, a beloved husband, father, grandfather of 3, and now Xavier Athletic Hall of Famer, Andy Mack.
I want to remind you that radio call was 20 years ago. And I'm much more, how you say, mature now. More reflective. I'm into political correctness. I've really mellowed. I'm calm, composed, totally in control. I'd like to apologize. I'd like to apologize to any UC infiltrators here in the room tonight. Forgive me. I also just finished mailing a letter of contrition to all the referees I've ripped over the years, except, of course, for Mike Kitts, who made those calls against Anthony Miles in the Elite 8 game against Duke in 2004 in Atlanta. You might remember those. And another guy, John Call, he's now the director of officials for the Big East. He's doing a great job. But that night at Rupp Arena in 2007 against the Ohio State Buckeyes, the number 1 rated Buckeyes, when Greg Oden picked up Justin Cage and threw him into the basket support, and we did not get the intentional foul call. That cannot be forgiven under any circumstance. All right, Joe, I'd like to apologize officially for interrupting you, incessantly, but, as you know, I was on a roll. I was on a roll that night. And there is a backstory, and it involves my boy Brian. Brian was a freshman at Xavier, and, UC, they were on the cover of Sports Illustrated. They were number 1 in all the polls. And I think they were a 16-point favorite in the ball game. It was over at their place in 1996. And little did they know that Skip Prosser had put together just an incredible generational recruiting class. James Posey had redshirted. He was ready to go. Lenny Brown, Gary Lumpkin, Darnell, D. Flight, Williams, T.J. Johnson was on that team. Very, very, very special ball club. And Brian and I were talking the night before the game, and he said, "Dad, you got to come up with a special line when they upset the Bearcats." And we kicked around some lines. He actually came up with the number 1 in the country, number 2 in their own city. The only thing I did, I actually remembered it, it was a surreal moment. I mean, I'm sitting courtside, Seg Dennison on one side and Joe on the other, and is 69-69. They've got the ball with like 8 seconds left. They're in control. And the JUCO guard, Charles Williams, who later got them in a little trouble with the NCAA, but that was all. He wasn't even pressured. He dribbles behind his back, jumps off the gym shoe. Seg caught the ball. Courtside, I go, this is a gift from the gods. This is mana. This is unbelievable. Skip draws up a play. Lenny gets the ball, takes Darnell Burton down below the free throw line. Boom. Lenny goes wild. It's an incredible scene. And Hugs Hugs was so sour. Anyway, that's the explanation of that. I'm really honored to be here on the dais. Is it the dais, the platform, whatever we're on? I'm honored to be on with my good friend Joe Sunderman, my great friend. He's a man for others. LaSalle High School, Xavier, what a great representative. We were radio and TV partners for 16 years. And our golf guru, our mutual golf guru, is here sitting with my family tonight. Doug Steiner, who was here last year inducting golfer Jason Kokrak into the Xavier Hall of Fame. Doug is here with his wife, Diane, and he reports that Jason Kokrak and his wife just had a baby boy yesterday, 8 pounds, 12 ounces, and I'm sure that kid could roll out of the bassinet and outdrive me right now. There'd be no doubt about that. But Kokrak, I mean, we followed him up at the Memorial and wherever, and he's going to win on the PGA Tour this year. One quick Joe Sunderman road story. I got to tell you this. Take you back to late January 1994. And Pete Gillen was going nuts. I mean, that was the year of the no handshake UC shootout win. Remember that? The overtime win. Hugs and Pete. Hugs wouldn't shake hands with Pete. Pete was going. Brian Grant, the poor guy, he's a senior. He's got a bad knee. He's thinking ahead for the NBA draft. The whole city of Georgetown wants to cash in. And poor Brian is going crazy also. And both Dino Gaudio and Skip Prosser had left, Pete's assistants. They'd taken head coaching jobs. So Pete basically left to himself. He had a scheduling opening, and by some strange deal, he decides to schedule St. Francis of PA up in Loretto, PA, which is up in the middle of nowhere. And I'm going to myself, why? Why are we making this trip in the dead of winter to Loretto, PA? I mean, this team is like, there might have been 321 Division I teams back then, and the RPI was not publicly made available at that point, but they were probably like 320 in the RPI. This is not a good road game, especially non-conference at the end of January. So Joe and I fly to Pittsburgh day of the game because I'm not staying on the Holiday Inn in Du Bois, PA. I mean, there's no way. I mean, I'm a Marriott guy, you know? So we rent a car, and we rent like a huge Ford, which is terrible in the snow. I mean, this thing was fishtailing all over the place. We follow a log truck up to the Laurel Highlands to Loretto for 50 miles. We're going like, the truck's in second gear and barely moving. We have these logs shifting in front of me, one of those red flags, and Joe is operating the radio, all right? And Joe is in his country music phase. All right? And his favorite song is John Deere Green, which is a snappy little tune, you know, not bad. But Joe spent the entire trip going AM, FM, CB. He found that stupid song 34 times. And he's singing to it. I'm driving. We're sweating. Snowbanks 5 miles high. We finally get to Loretto, PA, maybe 2 hours before game time. And we do our deep research before the game. And we find out that Sherwin Anderson, who's the sixth man, a really quick freshman guard, no way that St. Francis of PA can match up with this kid. I mean, he's a jet. And Sherwin's not going to be able to play tonight. We go, well, why not? He doesn't have any gym shoes. Freshmen packed their bags back then. He forgot to bring his gym shoes. Loretto, PA's out in the middle of nowhere. It's snowing. There's no way to get it. He has weird feet. They couldn't find it. He's scratched because he doesn't have any shoes. So we lose him right off the bat. That's not a good sign at all. And then we find out on the way to the shoot-around earlier in the day, the Xavier team bus had slid into a ditch. And Pete Gillen assessed the situation. He goes, all right, scholarship players stay on the bus. Mark Smidra and walk-ons get out and push. And if you remember Mark Smidra, he was like he's a Marine colonel now, 6'6", 225, fingertip push-ups, whatever. Smids and the walk-ons and the manager just pushed the bus out of the snowdrift, and Pete and the scholarship guys stay on the bus. We get to the game, and there's this kid from Oak Hills, and I'm in Oak Hills High School. We live in the district. I've never heard of this kid. He's playing for St. Francis. His parents come up to me, wow, it's great to have though. It's unbelievable to have a top 25 team here. This is great. This is our kid. I still don't know who this kid is. He drops 28 on us. It's the night of his life. And Xavier loses 77-73, knocks us out of the NCAA tournament. We have to go to the NIT, the worst RPI loss in the history of the program. And poor Pete then, left after that and moved on to Providence, but he's still a great friend, and we talk frequently. Anyway, my son Brian, great job. He's a good boy. He took my advice years ago. He did not pursue a career in radio. Well done. I have a face for radio, as you can see the pictures and whatever. I've always said that. But my son Brian came up with his jacket. I would never do this. There's like a Xavier crest on the pocket. This jacket is probably worth more than my entire wardrobe. He bought it at Brooks Brothers, but I appreciate it. Great effort. I don't know where I'm ever going to. I'm figuring out a way to get the patch off so I can wear it. I'll wear it tomorrow, though. I mean, it fits in. I want to congratulate all the other Hall of Famers up here in the dais. They're the real athletes. I mean, I never made a layup. I never got a rebound, obviously. Basically, I'm, to borrow a Pete Gillenism, I'm a bagel in the pastry shop of life. Stanley Burrell, though, I mean, I saw every game he played. You know about the points. You know about the best defensive guard I have ever seen in a Xavier uniform. And what I love about him was the 2008 Elite Eight game against the West Virginia Mountaineers. Bob Huggins on the bench, great coach. Overtime, Stanley makes the skip pass across the defense. B.J. Raymond, catch, shoot, three. West Virginia and Hugs go down. Xavier advances to the Elite Eight. Unfortunately, UCLA had Russell Westbrook and Love and a couple of other NBA guys, so that was the end of the road there, but just an amazing career for Stanley. Amber and Tashia, great friends. I watched that game against Stanford with the 2 missed layups. I mean, they should have been in the Final Four that year. That's the closest anybody has ever come in a Xavier uniform. Baseball pitcher Lou Whitty, class of '99, 35 wins at the college level in baseball is incredible. A product of the Midland amateur system. Great program around here. That reminds me of Papa Joe Hayden, who ran that. And of course, my great friend Mike Connaughton, who was the CEO of Midland and also a huge factor here at Xavier. Mike and his wife Nancy couldn't be here tonight. They're down in Naples. They just moved into a new house. If I had a new house in Naples, I wouldn't be here either. I mean, so I can't blame them. I mean, my family is here in strength. Do not eat my dessert. I will be back to get it. But seriously, my wife, Janet, we've been married over 40 years. We've lived in the same house 30 years. I finally got my green card, and they now let me into Western Hills. Janet seriously has fought so many battles for me and with me over the years, and I never thank her enough. And I love you, and hopefully another 40 years. That'll make me really, really old. Anyway, my daughter Abby at the table, just a great person. She has all her mother's attributes, all the positives. And if she hadn't sprained her wrist in the 5th grade, she would have played in the WNBA. I am convinced of that. And my son, Sean, he's been pretty well ripped so far by his brother. He's wearing a black suit tonight. You expecting the old man to keel over here or what? But he keeps me under control. At Xavier games, we sit up in the Joseph Lounge. I tend to get a little mercurial, a little vociferous, whatever the term would be. But Sean always, don't embarrass me. Don't embarrass me. Yeah, you're in public. You're in public. So I keep it cool. Anyways, I try to. The only reason I'm up here is because of longevity. 33 years in various capacities, both official and unofficial, some good, some bad, around the Xavier program. And I want to quickly recognize some unusual groups of very eclectic people that I've associated with over the years. In other words, these people are strange. First of all, these guys aren't. The MusketeerMadness.com people, Jay Skeldon does a great job with that site for no compensation. Our great photographer, Bob Stevens, who Tom Iser has co-opted to do a lot of Xavier photography. And they're trying to get me to tweet, but there's something about 140 characters I cannot get my head around. I'm not that brief. The Lou Hurt Society here in strength tonight. They're all 3 sheets to the wind, no doubt about it. But they're an elite group of Xavier zealots, as I put it. They're powered by Budweiser, and the qualification is that you have to live 150 miles round trip from the statue of D'Artagnan out here in front of the building. I mean, these guys are, they're always on the road, and they have branches in Toledo, Cleveland, Chicago, Indianapolis. I think they just closed down the Minster, Ohio branch. Tim Keener moved back to join us here in Civilization. That's good. I would tell the Tim Keener, Father DiUlio Marquette story, but we better not do that. Our annual meeting tomorrow at Dana Gardens. That gives you an idea of what this group is like. Really first class. It'll be a train wreck tomorrow. The one good thing I have done, I got BJ, the owner of Dana Gardens, to buy new TV sets. We were in there almost 2 years ago for the D. Davis crosstown shootout game. D was unbelievable. I mean, that's a game he'll always remember. I always will. We were in there with Tom Carnes and some Xavier zealots, and the TVs were like black and white. They were Philcos from the 1950s. We saw shadowy images up there. I didn't know if it was hockey or football, but we figured out Xavier did win the game in the final minute. And I wrote about it on Musketeer Madness, embarrassed the heck out of BJ. He bought new color sets. Thank God. They look great. The Musketeer Club. They're the Rock Rib families, the Oldings, the Brogans, the Seamers, the Settlers, the Fellingers, many, many more. These are the long-time Xavier people who've been so great to me over the years. And a bit of a surprise, these guys are not big spenders, but they're here tonight. Our golf league from Newman. Joe and I are partners. We play in a golf league. These guys show up, and they had to bring in an extra table. Probably the check hadn't cleared. Now, they're a good group of guys. Joe and I, no matter how we play, good, bad, or indifferent, we always lose because it's a bunch of elder guys who keep the handicaps. So someday we're going to win. I don't know. And then Bankers Anonymous, I call this group. Bob Ryan, Jim Goodmans, Tom Finn, they're the former bankers. Then Frank Daly, Bill Daly, Dr. Dave Hellkamp, Tom Smith, Lenny Kapowski, Judge Kapowski, may he rest in peace, great guy. But we travel, they argue, and I make peace. And we've had a lot of fun trips. My Morgan Stanley coworkers are here in force, led by our branch manager, Ron Bass. He is a Louisville fan. We will forgive him on this evening. Also, among that group is the wholesaler of all wholesalers. Larry Johns is here. And one quick story on Larry, because I know I'm running long here, but we've had many sports junkets over the years, Larry and I. And the most prominent one, though, was it was the Atlantic 10 tournament at UD Arena, March of 2004. And it was a cold, ugly, midday rain, sleet. We're outside the arena, and I'm looking for a free ticket. I'm Andy Mack. Come on, let's go. And Larry is losing his patience. Finally, he plunks down the money. We get the tickets. They're good seats. And we watch. They're playing the St. Joe's Hawks. Xavier is #1 in the country, undefeated. Phil Martelli, Delonte West, Jameer Nelson. I mean, they're the darlings of national media. Xavier waxes them. 87-67, the largest victory by a non-ranked team over a number one rated team in the history of college basketball. I mean, I went to Joe at halftime. I said, you have the stats? Yeah, Xavier shot 67. I said, there's no way they can do that again. They shot 72 in the second half. What do I know? But that was an amazing game, and thanks to Larry for actually digging into his pockets to get me into the game. But also, I quickly want to, thank you to everybody from Morgan Stanley for showing up and ruining compromising an entertaining Friday for yourself. I really appreciate your support. And there's some guys who stuck up for me and with me in 1998 when things weren't so good. Mike Kelsey is here tonight. His son Pat has always been a great friend. When I got knocked off the radio, he put my initials on his gym shoes. Now, they were very small, and Pat doesn't write very well, but that's what he told me. No, Pat's the head coach of the Winthrop Eagles, and in the Big South, he's got a game tomorrow, and Mike is going to fly out and be his assistant coach as usual. Joe and Sue Tetzel, great friends over the years. They're pretty smart. They're in Vero Beach tonight. Mike Connaughton, of course, Joe, and Byron Larkin, my all-time favorite Xavier player. 2,696 points. I described them all on radio or TV. Byron always reminds me he did average 3 assists his senior year. He did give the ball up on occasion. Anyway, Ralph Lee is here too, the Xavier all-time assist leader, 699. Can we give him that 700th assist? I mean, between friends, that should be done. It's taken a village to launch and grow the modern era of Xavier basketball, which I claim started in 1979. The co-godfathers, Coach Bob Stack and Dr. Bill Daly. Without those guys and the Oldings, and this place that we're at right now would still be a tennis court. Those guys had the vision to start the ball rolling. Jeff Fogelson did a lot of work, the move to the Gardens, the MCC as a conference, the TV deal that we cut in 1983 that put Dave Ashbrook, who is the real hero of that, our producer, director, our money guy in that, put Ashbrook and Joe and me and Stats R Us, Mark Wagner, together. We had a really good team, had a great run there. And then the recruiting of Byron Larkin, that was a seminal moment in the history of Xavier basketball, a great, great local player coming to X, the 83 NCAA, the NIT in 1984. Then Pete Gillen came on board. He took it up another notch. Pete played that faster, more interesting offensive style. And then there was NCAA success. The win over the Missouri Tigers in 1987 in the first basketball game ever played at the Hoosier Dome. And the 1990 Georgetown victory and the first Sweet 16. And then the Hugs-Gillen battle and the Crosstown shootout, which were epic and visceral and nasty, but it was a great rivalry. And that whole reinvigoration of the shootout. Because, a lot of people don't realize that the UC Xavier game almost went away. It was almost passé. Before Stack, from 59 through whatever year, Xavier was 2-22 against UC. Since Stack, the record is, I think it's 27-15, something like that. It's really good. So we can thank Bob Stack for re-energizing that deal. Mike Babinski moved in, and he gave us Thad Matta and Sean Miller and now Chris Mack. The Elite Eights in 2004 and 2008 showed even more progress, and basically Babinski again took that final leap. He was on the NCAA selection committee. The university gave him the latitude to do that big job, and he knew where all the bodies were buried. He tied Xavier in with Butler, and that became their entry to the Big East, and that's where we are right now. The Big East is just a superb platform. Great players over the Mata Miller, Mack era, Justin Cage, Josh Duncan, Jason Love, Dante Jackson, who hit that amazing shot against the Virginia Tech Hokies in that holiday tournament that you may remember. Dolman, Chalmers, Lavender, and along with those guys came better scheduling, a lot better non-conference schedule, and the pack line defense, and a formula that really makes Xavier ready to, if they stay healthy, ready to win and prosper in March, and hopefully, I think, sometime in the month of April. All the chips are there to translate to April success. Chris Mack, a great 8 years. The number one stat for me is his record against UC, 5-2. I mean, beyond that, I mean, I could care less. Not really. 3 NCAA Sweet 16s for Chris in 2010, 2012, and 2015. A great recruiting class in 2014. A generational class with Trayvon Edmond, JP, and Big Sean. Team 94 last year, 28-6, 14-4 in the Big East, a 12-0 start, the first undefeated non-conference record in the history of the program, a top 5 rating, and a win over Villanova. And Team 95, the season looks bright, 12-2, leading the Big East, the only undefeated team left in the Big East at 2-0. And Chris doing a spectacular job. My thanks to his staff for giving me access to the program. And also, I want to thank Tom Iser. He is the gold standard for sports information directors. His media guide should be on the New York Times bestseller list, at least for me. And he's a Xavier fixture. AD Greg Christopher, he's been great. He's a detail man, just what the doctor ordered for this program. He's refined a lot of aspects of Xavier basketball and athletics, and he showed great wisdom in getting me more involved in things here at the university. And I thank him for that. Sister Roseanne, the perpetual MVP of the basketball program. She never gives up. She made 129 calls to Derek Strong one morning to get him up out of bed and off to class. 129 rings, I should say, which gives you an idea of how persistent she is. Father Curry, Father Hoff, Father Graham, all visionaries, all with powerful persuasive abilities and leaders. John Kusha, the guy who gets stuff done around here. Xavier basketball has been great, but I want more. Starting with tomorrow, a win over the St. John's Red Storm would be nice. January 26th, a 4th straight win over the UC Bearcats. I'd like that. Maybe a #1 rating in the Associated Press, maybe a Big East title. Why not a win over Duke? And why not a Final Four? And how about a perfectly officiated college game? That's a bridge too far. That's impossible. But Coach Mack has to do it. I want to be around to talk about it and to write about it. Thank you for your attention, and thanks for everybody who came out to support all of us here on the dais. It's been a good night. Thanks.
Andy, I just want to tell you I was glad I was able to assist you with your legendary call. The few little interruptions I had from there. And seriously, Andy, you've been a great friend, and I just love to see you go into the Hall of Fame. Congratulations, Andy Mack. We did have a lot of fun doing those games, didn't we? All right, next will be Lou Whitty, baseball class of 1999. Lou's inductor is Jim Dalio. Come on up, Jim. Please give Jim a warm welcome.
Well, I don't know how you follow that, but I won't. This night is about Lou. It's kind of funny. He got all the guys together and he put straws in his hand and he said, "Whoever draws the shortest straw has to introduce me tonight." And I said, and I picked the shortest straw. And he said, "Well, you get free dinner." So I was like, "Okay, I'll come to the award." And he goes to me. He goes, "Maybe I'll even let you touch the award." So I was like, okay. He's like, "No, not really." He's like, "But you can stand by it and take a picture with me." But anyway, no, it's not. But it's kind of it's really an honor tonight to be able to introduce Lou because I got to play with Lou. It's kind of different than everybody else's introductions tonight because not too often do you get to introduce somebody that you played a lot of baseball with. And Lou doesn't know this, but I think about him every day for the last 18 years. Every morning that I get up, I think about you. Because when it's cold outside and my fingers are numb, because when you're catching 92-mile-an-hour fastballs for 3 years, it takes the feeling out of your fingers. So I want to thank you for that, Lou, because I do think about you all the time. It was truly an honor to play with Lou. If you know Lou at all, Lou is very quiet. Him and I can probably sit in a room and not say anything all night long and have one of the greatest nights ever. And guys, you know what I'm talking about there. But you don't, when I started to look at some of the records that he has for Xavier University as a baseball player, I guess when you're in the trenches, you really don't realize how special it is until you have some time to reflect back on what your career was at Xavier and at being a Musketeer. And I don't think people understand how special it is. Like, you get that feeling, that tingling when you walk back on campus and you remember all the days and all the great things that have happened on this campus. Lou and I was trying to think of something the other day. In 1997, we won the Atlantic 10 championship. And you know how you kind of all pile up. Well, anyway, Lou was pitching, I was catching. Lou said, "Get on top of me." And I'm like, okay, why? And then I figured out why, because everybody else jumped on top of me and I had to protect Lou. But those are the types of things that we did all the time when we protected each other. We worked hard together. Lou was, like I said, Lou was a quiet guy. But the minute he crossed that white line, you can see the intensity on his face when he pitched. And I remember when Coach Morey used to come out on the mound and we would kind of meet at the mound, and Lou would kind of be like, "What is he coming out here for?" Because Lou was such a competitor, he'd throw 140 pitches and wouldn't want to come off the field. And that says a lot about why he's here tonight. Like I said, I am truly honored to be able to have caught him for 3 years, to play beside him, because he is a special person inside and out. And it's kind of funny, you know, life goes on and you kind of lose track of each other for a little while because you're kind of doing your own thing and growing up. And it's kind of funny where fantasy football brings you back together and you start to share all those moments about what you did across time. So Lou, I am truly honored because of all the people that he could have picked to come up here and introduce him tonight. I am glad that he chose me and I was able to share this night with him. So without further ado, I would like to introduce Lou Whitty.
Want to touch the trophy?
What a night. I feel like I'm at Kings Island and I just barely passed the height requirement to come up here. So that's step one down. So Jim, as he mentioned, he was my catcher in college, and what can I say about him? He was just a great athlete, absolute monster behind the dish, and a tremendous leader for Xavier. So thanks, Jim. Appreciate it. First of all, congratulations to everybody up on the stage here. Well deserved on your accomplishments. Well done. I'm very humbled and proud to receive this award, but it was the help of other people to put me in the position to be successful. And I'd like to say thanks to a few of those tonight. So, first off, to my parents for all the support and the encouragement. To my dad for all the bullpens he caught. Not just me, but my three older brothers. He'd come home from work and he would go inside the house, grab his mask, grab his glove, and be ready to roll in 5 minutes. Never complained one time. That's just how he is. To my three older brothers, who I looked up to and watched at a young age, watched them play baseball. I felt like they set the bar really high, and I fought every day to raise that bar even higher. So that helped fuel the fire inside me at an early age. To my teammates, out there on the field going to battle with me, without the defense making plays and the offense scoring runs, I wouldn't have some of these records, pure and simple. To the coaches, I don't think any of them are here tonight, but Coach Morey, Coach Rayruth, Coach Howitz, to the teachers, the counselors, the trainers, for their hard work in preparing us on and off the field. It was truly a community effort to put forth a quality team product day in and day out. Now, I knew at an early age that pitching and playing baseball was what I wanted to do. I remember going to the shopping mall as a kid, and as my mom's perusing the aisles of J.C. Penney's and Sears, there I am in my Sunday church clothes just going through my motions right there in the shopping mall. I remember standing in our hallway mirror, going through my mechanics, making sure my balance was on point. I remember throwing this thing called a rag ball in our basement, on our basement wall in the wintertime, and then in the summertime I'd go out and throw it against our brick wall. So even as a kid, I had visions of competing in big games. But I felt I made my biggest stride as a pitcher from the times I struggled the most. After my freshman year at Xavier, I went to go play in an elite summer league out in Kansas against some great talent, some really good players. And statistically, it was not that great. I didn't do very well whatsoever. So when you're out there on the mound and things aren't going well, it can be a pretty lonely place. But there's a point in time during that summer where something clicked, where I thought, this is how you're going to get better. This is how you're going to be the best pitcher you can be. And what I realized was this: I needed performance-enhancing drugs. That was my big joke. But seriously though, during that time, I came to an understanding. I came to grips that I wasn't going to overpower most hitters anymore. I just wasn't going to do it. But what I could do that was within my control was to be the best competitor, to be the most mentally tough player on the field, and then good things will happen. And it was that mindset that carried on to a memorable 1997 year and for some great years after that. Now, no one really knows where your journey is going to end up. And sometimes you don't realize how much of a role something's going to play until after the fact. And while at Xavier, I had no idea where it was going to lead me. Xavier provided me the opportunity to fulfill a lifelong dream and play baseball beyond college. Even though I was a diehard Red Sox fan, I was proud to wear the Yankee pinstripes. Xavier opened up doors professionally in the workplace and allowed me to meet some extraordinary people. Xavier helped set me down a path to where I'm at today in this moment with my beautiful wife and family. So I'm very grateful for the role that Xavier played in my life. And lastly, to my kids, Zeta, Ozzy, and our newest little addition, I think you can hear her over there. Yeah, there she is. Wherever life takes you, in whatever you choose to do, have a goal, have a vision, but most importantly, have passion. So again, thanks for a wonderful night and this great honor. Thank you.
Congratulations, Lou. Our last inductee tonight will be Stanley Burrell, basketball class of 2008. Stanley's inductor tonight is Scott White. Please give Scott a warm welcome.
Good evening. I feel a little out of place. I'm not a Xavier graduate, and I didn't play at Xavier and didn't coach at Xavier, but it's really my pleasure and honor to introduce Stanley into the Hall of Fame. I'm sure many of you already know his accomplishments and the team's accomplishments while he was a player here, and it seems like not that long ago that he was jumping up on the scorer's table, giving a big X sign after a big win, and it's that passion that's made him a favorite, one of the all-time favorites here at Xavier, and he's one of my favorites too. Stanley attended Ben Davis High School in Indianapolis, and I know Indianapolis is well represented, 317, right? And I was fortunate enough to be his coach in high school, the head coach for one season, his senior season. Stanley was a first-team All-State player as a senior. He was selected to the Indiana All-Star team, along with another Xavier great, Justin Cage. And Stanley, those of you who have watched Stanley play know that he is a very passionate and driven person. And that was never more evident than the summer before his senior year, before I became the head coach, or the summer that I became the head coach. Stanley, as a junior in high school, rarely played varsity basketball. Didn't get a lot of playing time. And when he did play, didn't play incredibly well. And it was, I know that it was, his passion only came out then in his frustrations over how he played. And as you know, Stanley really wanted to win, and Stanley really wanted to play well. And I can remember probably the turning point in his junior season, where we're playing in a Marion County tournament game, and we're beating the tar out of the other team, and Stanley hadn't played much, and he got some mop-up minutes that particular game, and I was assistant coach at the time, and he didn't play well when he came in, and he was so frustrated that he came into the locker room, and he hit one of the lockers pretty hard. And I think it set him out for a few games, maybe a few weeks after that. And but I believe that night was probably one of the turning points for him in becoming a really, really good player. At the end of that season, he made up his mind that he was going to be the best player he could possibly be. He was going to work as hard as he could possibly work. And he did that for a whole spring and summer and the fall leading up to his senior year. He wasn't a highly recruited player. He wasn't an elite AAU player like we see now today. He was just a guy who worked incredibly hard. And there were many times, most of the time, I would find him in the gym by himself and not just tossing a ball, shooting it, and walking over to catch it, but running up and down the floor, making moves, taking game-like shots, playing incredibly hard. Some nights he'd have his girlfriend in there rebounding for him. And other nights he would have assistant coach Travis Steele, who was on our staff at the time, rebounding for him and putting him through workouts. And there were times during the fall after conditioning and at the beginning of the season where I would leave practice and then I would come back to school to get a workout in myself, and I would still find Stanley in the gym. And I would have to kick him out because I was afraid by mid-season he was going to be completely worn out. And that's how hard he worked that particular time. And it was that passion and that drive that turned Stanley Burrell into the best guard in Indiana his senior season and elected to the Indiana All-Star team. I was going to give you some of Stan's accomplishments at Xavier, but Joe did that already. And but the one thing that I found out about Stanley that I didn't know his whole high school career when he got here was from the Stanley Burrell's Brew Crew, was that Stanley actually has the same name as the music star MC Hammer. And so when I saw the shirts, I never could figure out why there was this big X on the shirt with hammerheads on the ends of them. And so Stanley got the nickname the Hammer, and it kind of stuck over that time. To say that I'm proud of Stanley would be an understatement. You know, one of the other driving forces behind that summer and spring and summer before his senior year, I know this, and I'm sure he's going to mention it himself, but I'd be remiss if I didn't mention himself, is his mother, Wanda Burrell. And I know that his hard work and his passion is driven a lot by her, and his wanting to do well for her and be able to give back to her for all the sacrifices that she made during that time. And again, to say that I'm proud of Stanley is an understatement. His work ethic, his passion, his dedication to his family are all things that I truly admire. And if it's my sincere pleasure, and I'd like for you to join me in welcoming Stanley Burrell.
I picked the wrong person. I shouldn't have picked him. I'm just playing, Coach. You did an amazing job, man. I wasn't trying to come here and be all emotional. This is such a special night. Wow, Coach, you're killing me, man. He knows me so well. So at certain points he was hitting, I knew that he knows my story very well. So it's been a long road to get here. You know, in two ways. The first road is just initially getting here for this right now. I came all the way from Europe 2 days ago, so it was like a 2-hour train ride from Amsterdam, and then we had to catch a 9-hour flight, and then I had to catch another 2-hour flight, and then another trip again to get home. So, and I did all this with a little 3-year-old, so that made the trip even harder. Where is my 3-year-old? Okay, and that made it a little hard. But another way, it was a long road getting here. Just my story in general. You know, I didn't really play so much like in high school. You know, my freshman, sophomore, junior year, I didn't really play at all. You know, I didn't get any opportunity. And then Coach White took over the job my senior year, and he gave me a chance. You know, you can work hard all you want and have this passion, this drive, and everything. If you get no opportunity, you know, you're not going to really go anywhere. And I wouldn't be here standing in front of y'all today if it wasn't for the opportunity he gave me. I remember the summer going into that senior year, like you said, I was in there all day, you know, from the morning time to go in there with the team, and then I would go to summer school classes and then come back with Travis Steele. It was a lot of work, but my drive was there, my passion was there, my opportunity was there. You know, for him to say you have a chance to play, I had to be ready. You know, I had to be ready. And so for me to be in there all day and all night, I knew that it would eventually pay off. So standing here today in front of y'all as a Hall of Famer, that's just unbelievable, you know. It's just crazy how my moment started. As I walked in, did an interview, I came down, feeling good, feeling excited, and then Tashia picks me up off my feet. Off the feet, though? Like, I was like, is she picking? Am I up in the air? I was trying to, my tippy toes, make sure they still keep touching, but I was up in the air. It's like, thank you. But to be here now, though, in front of you guys, it's amazing. It's amazing. My journey going through Xavier, it wasn't easy either. You know, I get here, I'm with Josh Duncan and Churchill O'Day. These guys are highly decorated, and you know, I'm just trying to find opportunity. How can I even get on the court? There's no thinking of being a Hall of Famer and thinking of all these awards and stuff that they put up on on the screen, I wasn't thinking of it. I just wanted just to get a chance to play, you know. So this hill that was over here behind the Cintas Center, I remember before we even started, we running sprints up and down trying to get ready. I come an opportunity my freshman year, and I'm getting a chance to play. Have no idea what I'm supposed to do. I just know I'm gonna go out here and give heart, give passion, give fire, and just see where it takes me, you know. We struggled a lot that first year. To come back the next year and to play better, but then all of a sudden, I get around Coach Miller. And we had a tough ending with our relationship at the end, but it all ties into my real story outside of basketball. Listening to Lou get up here and he talked about his dad, that almost got me emotional out the gates before Coach White even got up here, because he said that his dad was there catching for him. You know, those type of moments, I never experienced that. I never had that with my father. I never had a dad even being around, you know, so not having that type of guidance or somebody to show you the way, you know, I made a lot of mistakes along the way, and one of the biggest mistakes I made was how I handled the Coach Miller situation. He's a great guy, and he helped me so much. And the way that I handled it at the end, I looked at him as a father figure, you know, in a sense, and really he was my coach. And I want to apologize to Coach Miller in this situation right here. Right now, I thank you for everything you did for me. I really wouldn't be here in this position right now as a Hall of Famer if it wasn't for his guidance. So thank you, Coach Miller. If you ever get to see this, thank you. I want to thank a lot of people along the way that helped me. First of all, Coach White, Travis Steele, that was with me all the way through. I want to thank a lot of the other assistant coach, Coach Mack, Coach Whitford, you know, the guidance that they gave me and the push that they gave me. Thank you guys. Mario, the Brew Crew back here, Mr. Iser, Bill Colmar. I know I'm going to miss some people, and I apologize if I don't really show my gratitude towards you, but just know that I'm thankful for everybody that helped me along the way. I was on that flight on the way over here with Jaden, and I was thinking to myself, man, should I write something down, this long speech and everything? And he gave me no chance to do that. He said he needed my attention, so there was no chance for me to write anything down. So I'm sure I'm going to miss some people. I just know that now, being here in this situation, I don't even know how I'm here right now. Everything happened so fast, and I just appreciate this moment. If you follow me on social media at all, you see me take a lot of pictures and videos a lot of times, because I'm trying to, in a sense, slow down the time, really live in that moment and appreciate that moment. And this moment right here is very special to me, to be here right now with my little boy looking on, knowing that no matter what happens, whether I'm here or not, he can always come back one day and see his dad here in Shrine. It's an amazing accomplishment. It's an amazing feeling. So thank you guys for this honor. Truly appreciate it. Congratulations to all you guys as well. And thank you. Thank you.
Congratulations, Stanley. Thank you all again, and to their inductees and their families. Please recognize Amber, Tashia, Andy, Lou, and Stanley with another round of applause. I'd like to thank a couple special people at this time that really helped make the night special. It was Tom Iser, Brian Hicks, and Carol Moss, who helped coordinate this event, did a marvelous job as always. Thank you all for being here tonight. We hope that you enjoyed tonight's program and look forward to seeing you tomorrow for the men's basketball game. Tip-off will be at 2:30, and we will recognize tonight's honorees during a halftime ceremony. Good night, everyone, and thank you for being here.